Welcome to Wheels and Deals Podcast, sponsored by North Georgia Toyota in beautiful Dalton, Georgia, the ultimate pit stop for all things automotive. Join your hosts, Daniel Gross and Benjamin Ward, guiding you through the exhilarating world of car buying, car facts, and car parts, all while throwing in a dash of insight into the life at a dealership. So buckle up, tune in, and let's hit the road to explore the thrilling journey of Wheels and Deals. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Wheels and Deals podcast, sponsored by North Georgia Toyota. My name is Ben Ward, and my co-host Daniel Gross. He had to step out for a second, but he'll be back to join us momentarily. But we are back. We've taken a little break from the podcast for a little bit because Daniel just had a baby recently. Well, his wife did. I don't know how Daniel could possibly have one, but anyway, so Daniel is back, and he's, like I said, he had to step out for a minute, but he'll be back to join us for this podcast. So we are going to cover the topic of cars and technology today. So kind of dive deep into like how far technology has come into our vehicles and how it's become part of our lives as we drive our cars. So I am accompanied by two of our amazing people here at our dealership. I got one of Christian from sales, who was actually one of our tech geeks on the sales side, so he knows a lot about the car technology. And I got James from supervisor from service, who's also on our side of things, so he also has a lot of technology knowledge as well. Why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves and tell us what you guys do here.
I'm James Nix. I am the express manager in the express department of the dealership. We basically just do maintenance on the vehicles when they come in. Mostly it's just oil change, rotates, but we like to add some other stuff in there like balances, any sort of thing. We look over the cars really well, do inspections. That covers the general premise. Okay,
understood. Christian, you want to introduce yourself?
My name is Christian Lopez. I'm the AOA specialist and tech guy. I just sell accessories to customers, and after they're done with finance, I just go over the vehicle with them, get their phone paired, and just go over some buttons and stuff. Yeah, because
there's a lot of buttons to push on those things. You what. So, man, we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna dive deep about this. But let's kind of like look back at our history of cars here. Like, talk about everything from the Model T to like the Toyota Tundra. From like everything from having a little turnstile wheel. With maybe like I'm sure cars ran on like water back in the days, or something like that. Because like it's like cyberpunk technology, kind of back in those days up until today, where everything is basically ran by a computer. So,
we can step back 53 years from my experience.
Yeah.
I actually own a 1971 Triumph Spitfire. Triumph only makes motorcycles now, but they used to make cars. And when that car came out, it, of course, had a carburetor, and it also had a points system where it had a distributor, it had points with a rotary cap that would control part of the ignition process.
Wow.
So, there was no computers involved. It doesn't have power brakes, no power steering. It's just, it's 53 years old, and that was the technology, at least for that company back in that day.
Now, we all know that things that were built back in that time period, things are built to last. So how is it running now in 2024?
So I actually daily drove it for a little over a year. I drove it back and forth to work. It's about a 20-minute drive from my house. But interestingly enough, cars don't run very well when they don't have oil in them. And I end up blowing the motor on it, and I've got a motor that I'm wanting to drop back into it now.
Oh, cool! But maybe a few more podcasts from now, once you get that going, we should have you back on the show and give us some progress. That'll be really cool for content for our show.
Like even in today's time, if you're into like the sports car scene, we went from carburetors and points ignition system to electronic ignition, and then now to where everything's controlled by a computer. I mean, there's guys that they can jump in the passenger seat of a car with a laptop and hook it to the OBD2.
Yeah.
And, make more horsepower out of the car just by moving some things on a computer.
Insane.
Ignition timing, fuel mapping, all kinds of stuff. And, back in the day, you just had screws on the side of your carburetor.
Right, and you also used to kind of start cars with screws too. Just like that. That's the easier way to steal a car back then. But now everything's all controlled by a fob key.
On my Spitfire, speaking of, you can literally, if you wanted to steal it, all you'd have to do is just pull the key cylinder out of it, which isn't hard, and there's a little square drive in the back of it. You just stick a screwdriver and turn it over.
Look how far we come, people. So now that we kind of broken the ice, so let's kind of talk about the safety technology. My gosh, let's talk about the change of technology when it comes to our safety driving this car. Sometimes we might be over safe now when it comes to driving our vehicles, but it's kind of crazy that starting out with pretty much no airbags or little to no airbags in vehicles, and then now you have airbags covered everywhere, and then you have cameras almost everywhere in your vehicles out too. You can see bird's eye view, you get back view, front view, everything, and you got this braking technology. It's insane of how much we've evolved in our safety technology.
Yeah, it's like, for instance, in some of the newer Tundras, whenever you're driving around the parking lot, you get a 360-degree view of the pavement around you, any sort of obstacles that are around you. Or like when I'm in Express and we're pulling a car in, I can see both sides of the lift. I can see anybody that's around. It just paints a picture of the truck and everything around it.
Right. You have anything?
It's very convenient, yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about cruise control. So I don't know when. Do you happen to know when the cruise control kind of came about in our technology in cars?
I don't know exactly when, but I know it started out as sort of a valve that worked on vacuum. So basically, you would hit the button and it would set a certain amount of vacuum, and it would keep that amount of vacuum to hold the RPM at whatever speed you were driving, whatever RPM you were at.
Okay.
And now it's, it wasn't going to stop for you if there was a car in front of you. But, nowadays, like in my wife's car is a 2017 RAV4. And if it gets within a certain distance of a car, it's going to start slowing down on its own.
All right. And sometimes, now with that going on, the sensors in your car could tell you, hey, you got a vehicle coming upon you, so either brake now or brake for you.
Yep.
That's pretty scary. But it's really cool, though.
Vehicles then didn't have lane assist. Most of our cars now, if you were to get on the road and just let go of the steering wheel, it'll kind of bump you back into the road if it can sense the lines.
Yeah. All that autonomous driving is going to be a humongous game changer for those drivers out there, because I'm not saying that years from now these young kids that are coming out of high school or college and they're starting to drive and getting their own cars, but learning every single thing might be a thing in the past.
Yeah.
So
we're phasing out the manual transmission at this point. I mean, that's been happening for a while now, but it would almost be, it's almost like a theft deterrent at this point. If you drive a car with a third pedal or a clutch, chances are you don't have to worry about anybody stealing it.
Right. And with the manual too, I know that a lot of it was done with the stick shift and all that. Mm-hmm. And now that's kind of slowly phasing out, where things are kind of readjusted part of the wheel. It's kind of like video games now, with the left and right trigger. So that's now on your steering wheel. That's kind of all manual control. You could control the gears with your hands, versus having one hand on the stick shift, versus all that. And me personally, if I have to drive manual, when I was test driving some other things due to manual on the Camrys or the Corollas, I prefer it on the wheels, if you ask me, because doing it through the stick shifts bothers me, and it gives me anxiety, honestly. So
Yeah, well, actually, up until the car that I have now, I had never owned an automatic vehicle. Mm-hmm. When I turned 16, I had a 96 Ford Ranger that was a 5-speed, and then I had a 69 Volkswagen Beetle that was 4-speed. Then I had a 6-speed 2013 FRS, and the Spitfire itself was a 4-speed.
Oh, wow.
And the Corolla, the 2008 Corolla I have now, is my first automatic vehicle.
All right.
So it just kind of became a everyday life thing.
Yeah. So, man, Beatles. Every time I think of a Beetle, I think of that Disney movie, the
Herbie?
the Herbie the Love
Herbie
Bug.
Fully Loaded.
Herbie, the Lindsay Lohan one.
Yeah.
That's like the newest one. I'm thinking of the one back in the 60s.
Oh, yeah.
Those are to me, those are the best ones.
I love
honestly.
those cars. I want to get another one. To be honest with you, when I fix this car, I'm probably going to sell it and get one.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to get yourself a Volkswagen Beetle?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're really cool cars. Just,
They're super simple.
right.
It's like Legos.
You're right.
And they don't weigh anything. It's just a fun little car to drive.
Oh yeah, no, they're just a very interesting vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Christian, we haven't heard much from you today. Why don't you say something?
Just
What's on your mind?
yeah, it just makes it a lot easier now with the paddle shifters, just everything. But I think it's much more better on the stick. It's more fun.
So you prefer the stick over the kind of the video game feel?
Yeah. to be
Okay.
honest,
Well,
yeah.
here's my question for you. If you were to daily drive a vehicle, would you still prefer it to be manual, or would you prefer to have a manual as a toy and then an automatic for your everyday daily driver?
I prefer as a daily, just the automatic. But for fun, definitely a manual. Yeah, it's just a feeling.
Okay, so you kind of to each is their own. So yeah, that's cool. That if that's what you enjoyed doing, that's awesome, man. Let's talk about the connection services on our technology here. So from like Safety Connect to Remote Connect and Service Connect. So this is definitely up your alley on some things, Christian. Of course, you too, James. But what's going to talk about like the connection of the technology of like what customers experience when they get that new car. And they're just like dumbfounded, like, oh my gosh, where do I go from here? So, what's your thoughts on this?
Everything's on the Toyota app, it's very convenient, with the Safety Connect. A lot of vehicles now, the newer vehicles, they give it for 10 years now. Because on the older ones, it used to just be 1 year. But now on all the 24s, it's 10 years.
Is that like roadside assistance, stuff like that?
Yeah, like roadside assistance, emergency services. Once you click on it, or if it detects like all the airbags blown out, that's when it'll do it by itself.
Wow.
It's very convenient, yeah.
Yeah.
That kind of started as, I believe OnStar was one of the first people to kind of go to that idea. And I mean, I have mixed feelings for it, but I mean, it was like a first time somebody had come up with that idea, and I think it's an incredible idea. I mean, if you run out of gas somehow, you can have somebody come and put a little gas in your tank so you can get to the next gas station. Or if you have a flat, somebody can come help you change your spare tire, or, stuff like that. So, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's always good to have that kind of feature in your vehicle.
Makes you feel protected.
Yeah.
More safer, yeah.
Yeah, we gotta have that protection and safety. It's always good to have that, yeah.
Another thing was the Remote Connect is also one of the services that you do get for free as well. But on those is for a year. And it's pretty cool, because with the key fob, it's only a certain distance that you can do it from the vehicle.
What exactly does the Remote Connect do?
You can start it, lock it, and unlock it from your phone. And on some of the newer vehicles, like the Grand Highlander, the Limited Crown with the Advanced package, it does come with a digital key where you can use your phone as a key fob.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah, well, that is really cool.
Is that a subscription service you can continue to pay for in the future, or?
Yeah, definitely.
Now, I always, because we got service with us today too, we always talk about the importance of Toyota Care. Does Toyota Care have anything to do with the technological side of things that we help out our customers with every time they get their car serviced?
Well, part of Toyota Care, I think, at least the importance of it is, when a customer buys a package when they buy the car for Toyota Care, it covers them in a lot of ways. For one, they don't have to come in on the service drive and have to pay for their service, but it also kind of helps with the sort of one-stop shop mentality. You know, that they don't have to buy the car and then bring it somewhere and pay to have the oil change and the rotate done. It's just they bring it in, they don't have to worry about it, they drop their keys off, you know, we look the car over, do the services for them, and then they're ready to go. It saves a lot of hassle. Right. But another benefit to it, not necessarily on the technology part of it, is that whenever you buy that service package, it kind of locks in the price, because, you know, over time prices go up. Right. But whenever you pay for that package, that's just what you pay. I mean, you're not going to pay more over time. They're not going to be like, oh, now your bill's $10 more because our price of service went up. It's, you know, you've essentially locked in that price, right? And then it's just included in your finance,
right? So let's talk more about the driver's assist on the technology thing. So with everything that's going on out on the road, like, we got the technology to kind of monitor blind spots and cross traffic alerts and parking assists. Like, it's pretty crazy. Those who struggle with some parking, like, yeah, because like you could definitely walk on like your local Walmart or your Kroger or anything, and you can see like, how the heck does that person know how to drive? But just by looking how they park. but then you just push a button, yeah, and then you get the 360 view of a bird's eye view of your vehicle. Mm-hmm. They can help you make that perfect park. Yeah, so that is incredible.
You know, Toyota does a really good job. That they're never the first person on the field, right? Whenever they have a technology come out, it's generally a technology that's already been developed, and then they take it and they modify it to fit their needs, and they generally improve it, in my experience. So some of the technology that's come out or at least has been developed in the last few years, is the ability to not have to park your car. Yeah. You get out of the car and the car parks itself. Yeah. So I'll be excited for in the future that maybe Toyota adopts some sort of you know, parking for the customer, the person, the owner of the car, to get out and let the car park itself.
Right. I mean, with the parallel parking though.
Yeah.
Especially if you guys are city drivers, like. Yeah. Parallel parking is like one of the hardest things to do, especially if you're trying to get between two cars. But every time I try to parallel park, I make sure, like, I'll be willing to drive around the block.
Yes.
Until I see an opening. Until I can
and a good opening at that. You know, if you get a tight one, it's like, well, I don't know.
Yeah. When I pick up my son at daycare, here in town, like, and the church here that has like a little turnabout. They kind of you go drop off your car and stuff, and then I go get your kid. But I always like, there's a car here and there's a gap. I'm like, I'm driving around till I get the spot open. Because then I even like talk about bad parking, and then it gets more embarrassing on like how you park, and then you have sticking out like a sore thumb.
Well, you know, whenever I went to take my driving test, whenever I got old enough to do that, I tried to pick the smallest car I could, because that's the hardest part of the driving test, is the parallel parking portion.
Right. And then you got big vehicles like Tundras. Yeah. Or maybe it depends on what kind of Tacoma you have, and it's like, oh my gosh.
But I'm sure that 360 view, I haven't tried to parallel park with the Tundra, but that 360 view I bet comes in amazing.
Oh, it does when it comes to normal parking. I haven't tried it out with parallel parking yet, but maybe one of my Test Drive Tuesday videos, I'll have to.
We could set up some cones in the parking lot.
Right, yeah, something like that, yeah. That'll be great.
As far as interior goes, Toyota's come a long way, especially in the past few years. Like with this, to me, it really started with like the 2018 Camrys. Yeah. There was an amazing improvement on the interior, in my opinion. And now they're kind of introducing that in all of their models. But as far as ride comfort and stuff like that goes, just for instance, the new Tacomas that just come out. Tacomas used to have leaf springs in the rear and drum brakes for the rear, and now they are set up with disc brakes in the rear. And I don't know if you know too much about suspension, but it's got a 3-link suspension where it's got just a traditional spring shock aside from a traditional leaf spring in a shock.
Yeah.
So that significantly helps with ride comfort, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure.
And then there's active dampening, stuff like that, where the vehicle can kind of sense what kind of terrain you're on and can adjust suspension based on that.
Yeah, with the you could switch things around in your vehicle, and you have to get off road and whatever kind of road, whatever condition the weather could be. It's crazy. And look who decided to walk back into the studio. My co-host Daniel Gross. He has come to save the day.
We're back, guys. Sorry. Slight detour. When you got a brand new baby and a wife, and life throws curveballs at you quick, and you got to
know what that's about.
Lean with the dip, as my baseball coach would say. So.
That's right, man.
Well, ready. What all have you covered so far?
We covered
technology.
We covered
definitely technology.
Definitely
all
technology. Right. We covered. We were just now talking about the architecture of the vehicles just now.
That's a pretty crazy thing. Do you guys get into that pretty deep yet?
We got a little bit. James kind of
talked about
the global architecture that they've got now.
I was actually talking about suspension and interior design for like ergonomics.
I forget what it's called.
Driving feel.
Toyota, with all the new recent vehicles, they call it Toyota Global Architecture, meaning that like the Sequoia, the Tundra, it's like universal frames, where they can not mass produce it more easily, but they're kind of the same structural design, I guess, from the ground up. Like a lot of the stuff share, like wouldn't you say a lot of the vehicles share frames in some capacity?
Oh, for sure. I mean, you can get you can put a Toyota Tacoma and a 4Runner on a lift, and they almost look identical.
Yeah.
Even with the, I don't know about the new ones particularly, but at least on like the last generation, the Land Cruiser and the 4Runners looked extremely similar. Except for the big V8 engine in the Land Cruiser.
Yeah. A lot of the new stuff, like the new 25 4Runner that's coming out, hopefully later this year, like fourth quarter this year.
Yeah,
it's going to be almost identical to the new Tacoma. Like even the body, like the styling, the front end looks really similar. I think it's a little bit different. Like I don't know how many parts and pieces are interchangeable, but the frame and the suspension and the motor will be the same. So I think that's like the global architecture, like they were looking at, like the Prius. The Camry, they kind of look similar. The new Grand and the RAV4 kind of have a similar front end. So you can kind of see it, like each vehicle's different, it has its own quirks and features and benefits, but the architectural, I think they were trying to have so many different models that didn't share anything. It's easier from a manufacturer standpoint to have some vehicles that kind of share DNA.
Yeah.
Not completely, but, vice versa parts and stuff like that.
I mean, I've always said that, just jokingly, that the 4Runner is basically a Tacoma with a bed.
Yeah, it basically is. Yeah. Just like a Sequoia is a Tundra with a welded-on camper shell.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
What the only difference was the 4Runners had rear disc brakes and a different rear end suspension until recently.
And now
they're the same.
Yeah, my Tacoma, thank you Toyota, has rear drum brakes, which is like from 1974. Yeah. So it is what it is.
It is what it is.
I just need to trade mine, right?
Well, since you are back, Daniel, if you want to kind of steer you inside some of the things, we covered a little bit of this, a little bit of that in our podcast today. We talked about the safety. Toyota Safety Sense with the pre-collision, lane departure, and all that. Just we kind of covered a little bit of the history of how we started from nothing in cars to what we have today.
Yeah, now it's a whole safety system. I mean, that's what people expect. Did you guys cover lane trace?
We talked about it very briefly about lane trace.
That is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah. Talking about where it kind of keeps you in the lane.
It will completely drive itself. But we can't tell people you should go try it. You should try it with both hands on the steering wheel.
Yes.
That's still a developing thing.
I may or may have not tried it in my personal Grand Highlander with no hand. Yeah. So, supposedly, well, I'm telling you, it is crazy how it does it. Just like what it says, lane trace, it keeps your vehicle in line with the road. Now, like on a country road, dirt road, where there is no lane for that radar to, I guess, that technology to scope out and to keep you in the actual road, may not work on a gravel road or something.
I would not recommend that.
But like on 75, north, it does great. I can tell you from personal experience, but it's awesome. Oh, the trailer assist in the Tacoma, have you guys covered that?
No, we did not.
That stuff is crazy.
I don't know a lot about that.
I actually didn't know a lot about it till if you want to know anything about Toyota, just YouTube it, because there's somebody that's done it. But you can literally program, like in this case, it was just a small utility trailer, like a 5-foot by 60-inch utility trailer. So your basic what anybody would own to move a four wheeler or a lawnmower, and you program the trailer into the infotainment right there in the center stack of the Tacoma. And you can add multiple trailers. Well, he selected that trailer, and as long as you have it in the direction, like say you're going down a boat ramp, and you line it up, so you can line it up even if you're not a very experienced trailer backer person, which is most people that don't do it for a living. Yeah, me too. Yeah, my dad can back a trailer up a mountain in a blizzard because he does it all day. But you can line it up like at Carter's Lake's a great example. It's a mile long boat ramp. It's super crowded, especially this time of year. So as long as you keep it straight, the dude. Now all you had to do as the driver was keep your foot on the brake. Right, you controlled the braking. But that Tacoma literally steered that thing. It would go as long as you wanted it to, and it would just minutely adjust the steering wheel as he was going down. So down a boat ramp, you could look like a professional. But thanks to Toyota, it did it for you. So it's actually crazy how it works.
That would be a cool test drive thing if we could bring in a trailer.
Yeah. Matt Hendrick has a trailer we could probably borrow.
We will have to go with him and talk to him about that.
I honestly didn't know it existed, and I feel terrible for saying that on the podcast, but I just didn't know it had that. The trailer assist.
Well, they add so many things in these cars lately that it's
insane-o.
We even as technicians, we take modules on all of the new vehicles, and it covers a majority of it, but there's just so much information to take in and remember. It kind of just gets lost.
Yeah. And I'm visual too. Like if I can watch a video and watch somebody do it, I feel like I can go do it. So it's nuts. I'll send you a link to that video. It's pretty.
Have you seen the Tacomas with the shocks on the seats?
Yeah, that's on the TRD Pro.
TRD Pro on the new one. Yeah.
Okay, I did. Okay,
I have yet to see one in person. Here's awesome.
Here's a weird quirk about that. It takes like 2.5 inches away from the rear seat passenger in leg room, so it's kind of a give and take. It's cool, but and honestly, if you're driving a TRD Pro, you're not hauling the soccer team. Probably.
Right.
Oh, you want to talk about a cool random bit of technology on the new Tacomas? The manuals with the self, like you can use the starter. I'm assuming it doesn't really go into detail.
Yeah.
To actually move the truck outside of the vehicle.
How do you do that?
I'm not exactly sure how it works. It wasn't really
some black magic.
Yeah, it wasn't. It didn't go into too much detail about it, but because if you've ever driven a manual Toyota, especially the trucks, they usually have a button where you don't have to use the clutch to start it. You just make sure it's in neutral, hit the clutch button, and then start it.
That's cool.
But now, something to do with the fact that you can hit that button and the truck will actually crawl on its own,
like a super low gear or something.
I assume.
That's pretty.
Like I said, it doesn't hit real big detail or application on our module, but we definitely learned about it.
That's cool. I mean, it exists because it's in a Toyota module.
Yeah.
So when he looked into that.
Yeah.
We got a manual SR coming in too, so we can maybe try it out on.
I think the first one we got was manual, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's white, I think.
People love the manuals. I don't, but some people love it.
I prefer automatic.
If you're off roading, I could see the benefit of it because if you want to stay in that low gear, then
It also depends on the vehicle for me.
Yeah.
You get in some manuals, like I had a 2013 FRS.
Yeah.
And on the clutch, they had a clutch assist spring.
Oh.
I took the spring out.
Okay.
I like the feeling.
You like that feel, that raw driving feel?
I like to use the pedal to feel where it starts to slip and starts to move the vehicle.
The FRS was the precursor to the 86, right?
Yes.
So same.
There was the Trio,
the
the FRS, the GT86, and then the Subaru BRZ. I've ridden in one. We had the TAC, the person in charge of the TAC program from the service department.
Okay.
He likes to bring cool vehicles with him when he shows up to the dealership.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
He brought in a GR Corolla and he threw the keys at Hammer.
Dang.
And he's like, "Hey, you want to go with me?" And I was like, "Yes."
Yeah.
The GR Corolla is like one of the most exciting vehicles for me in Toyota's lineup right now because it broke into a
it's
market.
Very niche. It's very niche.
Yeah, it's 300 horsepower, all-wheel drive, 6-speed manual.
Yeah, in a Corolla.
I mean, the last vehicle I've heard that even competed with that would be like your either Subaru.
Yeah.
I'm talking about specifically all-wheel drive, manual, turbo hatchback. Would be like the Focus RS.
Yeah.
Like the rally
from Ford.
style.
Yeah, I remember that.
And those were cool cars.
That Ken Block guy who passed away drove one of those in a commercial, didn't he?
I'm sure he did. He had a big thing with Ford.
Yeah.
May he rest in peace.
He's a famous drifter.
Yeah,
guy.
he ran Hoonigan and
big racing brand.
He was known for what they called the Hoonicorn, which was basically a super. It wasn't even really a Mustang anymore. It was basically like a custom race car, custom drift car with a Mustang body on it, like a '65 Mustang body on it. It was twin turboed, transaxle that he could disconnect from.
Dang.
Yeah, it was super crazy. Like
That's wild.
but you know, there's a certain market that I think Toyota's got with the GR Corolla.
Yeah, it's very niche market. But it's cool. It's cool that
sure.
it exists. I mean,
Yeah.
you feel like Alice in Wonderland down this rabbit hole yet?
Yeah.
I can sit and talk about this stuff all day long.
No, that's cool. Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's cool to see that Toyota listens to their customers.
Yeah.
They do really cool, like the limited run with the Tundra a month ago that we got one of. You know, that's never happened before. A Tundra, you know, brands with a leather company to make a custom 1794 truck. That's never happened ever.
You know, our salesman Zach, who was on the show a while back, he actually did a video about the 1794.
That's cool.
Recently, so it is
Yeah.
a really cool truck. It actually, and also, recently, James and I did a video for service. And we serviced Pollen on a 1794
Yep.
as well.
Yep.
What is it?
We're doing a sort of allergy / pollen special for the vehicles now, where it comes with a AC, like air conditioning, evaporator core cleaner
That's
kit.
cool.
We pump basically a foam up into the evaporator core
Oh.
that ends up draining it out. It cleans the evaporator core out.
Wow.
Sanitizes it. It comes with a sanitizer that we spray on the carpets, the headliner.
Dang.
You don't really want to get it on leather, but any sort of cloth.
Yeah.
In the vents, as well as something that helps with odor.
Okay.
And for a small YouTube channel that we got, we have over 100 views on that video.
That's awesome.
so yeah.
That's good. It's growing.
Cool models. What kind of things would y'all want to see?
Oh, man.
Because I have my ideas.
Don't get me
All right,
started.
well, share them. What do you got?
So there was already a small percentage of the 2018 and newer Camrys that came all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
But they were only four-cylinder. And Toyota's done a great job at making the Camry look really sporty.
Yeah, it was good.
And now they also came with a six-cylinder, not so much anymore, that came in the Highlander. And the Highlander with the six-cylinder came all-wheel drive.
Oh, man.
So I don't think it would be too out of the wheelhouse to have a six-cylinder all-wheel drive sort of sports
That'd be
model
cool.
Camry.
In like a TRD or something?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty slick. Now, that ship is probably sailed now with the
probably.
four-cylinder being like everything's being
Four-cylinder turbo
pushed over.
hybrid.
Aren't some of the Camrys coming all-wheel drive though now? Everybody's smoking something.
I don't know. I have no idea.
I feel like some of them are all-wheel
I
drive.
haven't seen one.
Not yet.
We haven't gotten.
No.
We haven't got any?
Drive.
no,
I
that Corolla goes on the 4-wheel drive, but
Let me fact
Yeah.
check myself. The coolest thing I would like to see come out is some type of a diesel carryover from overseas, like not the Hilux. That's like the overseas version of the Tacoma.
Yep.
But a diesel, like an eco diesel Tundra or
Like
something.
the Land Cruiser,
Would
back
be-
in the day
yeah.
had a diesel overseas.
That is so cool, dude.
Or what about a Tacoma with like a tuned down version of the Tundra engine?
Oh,
Because you remember
yeah.
back in the early 2000s, Tacomas had the Extreme.
the Imagineers of Toyota.
X-Runner, sorry.
Hint.
They come in those
Imagineers.
super bright colors like black and like blue and red, depending on what year it was. And it had the 4.0 out of the 4Runner
Oh.
with it's either 5 or 6 speed manual, and it was
Yeah.
extended cab and it had the ground effects.
Dang,
It'd be
that's
so
cool.
cool to bring that back.
Or like a redo of Marty McFly's Tacoma.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
You know, when you talk about like the sportier kind of side of things, like because I'm very new to this job here, learning more and more about cars. I'm kind of like the Jeff Goldblum of the full of wonders. Ooh, what's this? Oh,
Yeah.
let's talk about that. But
It's a lot to learn.
there's a lot to
It's a
learn
lot.
about the technology. But now that being involved in this industry and like learning things, even my 21 RAV4, it's really my wife's car, but finding the technologies behind it, like I love, like every once in a while, like if we're on like the interstate or the bypass, I'll switch the sport mode.
Oh, yeah.
And then just like getting the feel of it, like
Hey.
we're going like we're on eco.
Those RAV4s are no slouch.
Oh man, it's
Okay.
boom.
So the fact check says from Toyota.com, take an inside look into how Camry's innovative tech electrifies the future with its all hybrid powertrain available with electronic on-demand all-wheel drive. So they exist. We just haven't got any yet.
Well, I know some vehicles with the all-wheel, like the RAV4, for instance, it was basically front-wheel drive setup with the engine, and then the all-wheel drive system was just the electric system in the rear.
Oh, okay.
So the
Maybe that's similar because it said electric.
the rear drive was controlled by the electric motor, and then the front drive was controlled by the actual
The new Camry
combustion
hauls
engine.
absolute tail.
Yes.
I mean, if no one has not driven one yet. Now, if you come drive one with us, please don't do that. But we'll have an employee with you. But it's very quick. It's not what you would think. It's sporty.
Have you driven one of the new, like brand new Camrys?
Yes, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
It gets
Are
up
they
and goes.
4-cylinder turbo, or are they just
Not turbo, right?
hybrid?
We looked into that, right?
I think it was. Oh, what?
I don't think it's turbo.
I don't think it was.
I know they're moving
The
towards
Tacoma
that.
is turbo, and the Tundra is twin turbo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the new Land Cruiser.
Because we got fact checked hard by a buddy on YouTube.
Yes.
So we know our stuff now.
That's right.
Hey.
We have to know our stuff much better.
Everything gets a turbo. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
The turbo, like that Ryan Reynolds, that Ryan Reynolds cartoon. It was called Turbo, the racing snail. That's what it is.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think it was called Turbo.
Shout out to Deadpool 2 or whatever's
So
coming out.
Double 3,
Yeah.
with Wolverine.
It's very inappropriate, but
Yeah,
it's a great movie.
I cannot wait for that movie.
Keep us going. We need to get back on track.
Yes, we do. This is one of the fun rabbit
It's pretty
holes
good,
that
yeah, it's
fall
pretty good.
into
Love rabbit
sometimes.
holes. Love
Yeah.
tangents.
And it's Friday. It's been a long week. Our system's down
Extremely
in the
long
BDC.
week.
Yeah.
We've got some woes here, but we're getting through
Well,
it.
we've been
CDK
talking about the
from
cars.
Helion.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah, man. Okay, so we talked about. We covered enough ground. It's like you. Again, this is why I love having a co-host. So it's like I had to keep the ship from sinking.
We gotta keep it going.
Gotta keep it going.
Did we cover truck technology other than the trailer assist? Did we cover anything on the
No,
Tundra?
we didn't really talk.
We haven't talked about the Tundra.
No, we haven't
Okay.
talked about the Tundra or anything.
We talked about the 360 view in parking lots on the Tundra. I thought
That's
that was
pretty freaking
neat.
sweet,
Yeah.
dude. It's nuts. I didn't know how detailed that camera was until we were backing it out of the delivery bay and we saw like a plastic bag was just blowing through.
Yes.
And it caught that on the camera.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it
crazy.
It was
It's-
weird. It was crazy.
It's like they take multiple cameras and then they kind of stitch them together. I'm assuming with some sort of AI,
It's got to be.
just to kind of make a smooth transition.
Yeah.
And then they put the truck there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they get the top view.
I don't think it has anything to do with camera. Like I think it's some sort of AI thing where it's
Toyota Black Magic.
or the satellite, Toyota satellite. They're
Yeah, the
watching.
satellite follows just your car.
just
Every Tundra has its own dedicated Starlink satellite.
Elon is watching you. No, so the biggest elephant in the room on the Tundra, if anybody's living under a rock, if you're involved in Toyota at all, is the Tundra recall, right?
Yes.
So it's VIN specific. So if you guys are in the market for a Tundra, don't freak out, don't jump ship, don't do something crazy and buy a Ford or Chevy.
Talking
I'm
about
just
the
kidding.
stop sell.
Yeah, well, it's not necessarily a stop sale, but there's a active recall out where in the manufacturing process there are certain VIN numbers that are affected for the engine.
I know what you're talking about.
So it's either
There was a stop sell issue.
it's either a defect in some kind of a bearing surface or some kind of debris got into some of the blocks in the very, very early production. So it'll be interesting to see because no one really recalls happen everywhere. They happen every day. They happen
Yes.
to every manufacturer. It's not just like we're on an island here in our truck, but I think the thing that people are going to remember is how Toyota handles it from now. Of
course.
So as long as they have a good remedy, unfortunately, I do know that if your truck is affected, they will have to tear into the engine. But as long as you go to a certified Toyota technician,
Do you know
it's
if there's
no big deal.
a remedy yet?
There's not a remedy yet.
Okay, because I
think-
checked a few weeks ago.
I
and
think for
there
the
wasn't one.
people affected, I've heard online, and you can do your own research. There is a metric ton of videos out there. But a Toyota Tech was showing that they'll send out another like small block or something.
Short block,
Short, yeah.
probably.
So they send a short block, and once they install that, it's completely fine. It's under warranty. It's good. So if your truck's affected, that's probably what I would think is going to happen.
So for instance, for anybody that doesn't know what a short block
Yeah,
is,
go into that. I don't know the
a,
details.
short,
of
a
that.
short block basically encompasses the engine block itself and the rotating assembly, meaning the crank, rods, and
The
pistons.
crank. That's what I was thinking.
It
about.
doesn't really. Generally, short blocks don't come. I mean, it kind of just depends on manufacturers what short block and long block means. But
Yeah.
generally, it encompasses the engine block, the rotating assembly, which is the crank, rods, and pistons.
Yeah.
And then I think sometimes they come with heads, but that doesn't come with any sort of the the intake manifold, exhaust manifolds, anything like that.
So for people that aren't mechanically inclined, that is the block where most of the metal-on-metal contact
Yeah.
happens.
Yes.
The combustion in your engine, that's where it happens. So
That's right.
where the most pressure and wear and tear. And it's a good thing. I mean, if it happened to my truck, it's completely under warranty. Toyota's going to take care of you. It's not going to mess up your warranty going forward, and you're going to have a great truck at the end of it. So it's not the end of the day. Your truck's not going to explode. Stuff happens. And it's VIN specific. So you check your VIN, and if you're worried about it, call your dealership and have them look at it.
Yeah, we'll be
can't-
happy to help you.
Yeah.
I can't wait for like heavy modifications on the Tundras.
Yeah.
Like, because we got twin turbo, 6-cylinder.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it would be so easy to do exhaust, bigger turbos, E85 and tune, and make like, what do they make, a little over 300 now if it's just
Yeah.
the gas version?
be
You
pretty
can get those
slick.
things up to like 500 probably.
Yeah. And that's stuff that you couldn't do before because, I mean, that 5.7 V8 was pretty sweet.
It was, but there wasn't a lot of modifications. you
No,
could do.
it was what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
You
like
can make
it.
it sound really good.
Yeah. And the new Tundra is it's packed full of technology again. Like, I mean, the new trim that came out when they launched it was a capstone that was a trim that never existed before, and it's freaking crazy. It has a air filter for the ventilated seats. That's how high tech it is.
That's amazing.
There's an air filter you change out for the ventilated seats in the back.
and I
know-
think the interior on the new Tundras is
It's bar none. Yeah,
immaculate.
it put us up in the same category as like your GMC Denali,
Mm-hmm.
your top end Chevys, the LTZs, that type of stuff. Because Toyota, I mean, they were nice trucks. Don't get me wrong, but it just felt like the upper echelon quality wasn't there as far as the inside. A great truck will drive for over 1 million miles, proved over and over again. But
Yeah, I mean, if you
the
ever look
inside.
at million mile, like list of million mile cars,
Yeah.
the Toyota Tundra is always
there's
on
not
there.
many F-150s on that list.
Tundra.
Unfortunately,
Feel
yeah.
the tundra.
Yeah.
Tacoma
Oh
and the
my
tundra. You always have to have those kind of guys in your group.
Oh yeah.
What's next?
I
What are we
think-
missing?
There's something on here about E EVs.
We talked about you're the BZ expert.
Okay, so I guess it could be the last part of our topic of talk today of the EVs, electric vehicles. Of course, Daniel and I have talked about countless things about EVs, but this is all part of the technology talk.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is the future of driving. So what we like about how Toyota's been handling these kind of things of hybrid and electric technology is that we focus on the now and a little bit in the future, but it's not really our main. I mean, it is crucial, but it's not like it's top priority, in my opinion.
We want to make sure we get it right.
We want to make sure we get it right. Exactly. We don't want to just go ahead and heads first and get rid of all gas, all these kind of other fuel cells, and switch over to EV when there still needs some research to be done about and what we can do to get there to that point. So that's why all these hybrid technologies is just beautiful right now.
Yep.
That switching over to into our vehicles.
That's sort of what I talked about earlier about
Yeah.
Toyota's never the first person on the field.
No.
Like they take technology that's been developed and then they make it better
Yes.
and then release
Yeah.
it.
That's right. And with all this stuff coming out, like I think I've learned that sometime in 2025, we'll be able to share electric charging ports with Tesla.
Oh, that's
as well.
cool.
That'd be
Yeah,
great.
yeah, Ricardo
Yeah.
kind
Yeah,
of gave me
Tesla's
the
done a
info.
lot of the infrastructure stuff. For
Yeah.
us.
Well, I mean, it's just like me personally, I would not drive a road trip with these kind of vehicles. But I've spoke to a Tesla owner before, and matter of fact, I ran into a Tesla owner while doing the BZ4X Test Drive Tuesday a while back, and he claims that he drove his Tesla from Dalton to Detroit over and over again. I mean,
Ooh, dangerous.
I feel like it's dangerous too. But if
Yeah.
he
Well,
if he
the cool
could do
thing,
it, but
and
yeah.
I don't mean to brag about other manufacturers,
Right.
but Tesla on their navigation screen, it actually you can plan trips and it'll tell you when to stop.
I've seen
and
that.
where you can stop.
That's pretty cool.
To quote unquote refuel.
Yeah.
Right, and I think
That's a good thing.
And I think eventually we'll get there
For sure.
for sure. And yeah,
But the BZ, just the fact that it exists and you can buy it from Toyota is pretty. I mean, that's wild.
Yeah.
Right.
5 years ago, we were like, "No, dude."
What about
EV.
the Mirai? Are we going to see one of those?
Ooh, I don't know much about that.
No, I actually never heard of that particular.
It's on here.
Oh,
It's. I mean,
oh,
it's.
that's the fuel cell. Oh yeah, I remember reading about the Mirai.
I don't know if it'll be full production.
I don't think so. Maybe it'll just be under the prototype side of
I mean,
things.
it definitely exists, but I don't know how many people will get it at the dealership to see one. It's kind of like the BZ.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got one.
have
We made it a show
Yeah.
car.
It exists and it's here, but I
Yeah.
mean, good luck ordering one. It's just the way it is.
But
Right.
I think if you're going to be confident with the EV technology, I would be
Yeah.
confident with Toyota.
Oh yeah,
And the
for sure.
reason I say that is just for instance, I keep up with press releases as far as how the stock market and stuff's going.
Yeah, that's good.
And one of the things, one of the press releases I read just the other day was that Fisker, you know who Fisker is? Fisker Karma? Or no, the Karma is a model they made. But,
Fisker's like a big, like giant conglomerate.
so it's supposed to be like,
Thing.
as far as I know, a luxury EV
Oh, okay.
company. They sort of came on the market before Tesla was super known, but
Okay.
they had a lot of problems. And recently, in that press release, they asked for protection against bankruptcy
Oh,
because of problems they're facing in the EV world.
dang.
So I think if you're going to be confident with the EV world and the EV manufacturing,
Yeah.
I think you could be. Toyota's really good at developing things and
Yes.
making them right.
That's a global brand.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I got a huge confidence boost in that. One of the things, are we about to close?
We could.
I got a couple good things.
Go ahead.
Maybe,
and
do you have
share.
something else?
Nope. I got.
I'm
nothing.
not steering this ship. I'm just riding.
Oh no, dude! I think we can pretty much cover it a good amount of everything, but while you were gone.
Okay.
So
I got a question for each Christian and James. So
Sure.
James, tell me what's something simple that our customers can do in preventative maintenance that maybe is not mainstream or like well known. Like what can I do as a Toyota owner to make sure I'm doing everything I can maintenance wise?
I mean, the biggest things that I see are balancing tires
Okay.
and getting routine alignments. A lot of people
Yeah.
only get that kind of stuff done when they buy tires, but what a lot of people don't understand is if you do your balances, your tire balances and your alignments often enough, it saves you money on buying tires because
Yeah.
those two things really affect how your tires wear.
Yes.
And we don't see a lot of people coming in asking for tire balances.
Okay.
So,
Or at least just to check them. Say, hey, are they still in?
yeah, for sure.
You know.
And it doesn't take very long to do it. I mean, it can be done with your regular maintenance.
Yeah.
And it saves money.
What are we talking like extra cost, do you think, per oil change? Or every other oil change?
I don't want to speculate because I don't want to.
Like 20, 30, 40 bucks?
Yeah,
roughly?
something like that.
Yeah, so like nothing astronomical.
And you can get it done. You could do it every 5,000, and that would be great.
Yeah.
But you could even do it just every oil change. We do our oil changes mostly every 10,000 miles, and
Yeah.
that would be awesome.
oddly enough, that Tacoma that we did a video on a while back, about a week later, that same truck came back in for the same exact procedure that was done. Because I was like telling us.
Yeah, we did the 5,000.
Yeah.
Our first new Tacoma that come in for maintenance, we did
Okay.
the video on for its first service, the 5,000 mile
That's
just
cool.
rotate service, and then it came in not even but like 2 weeks later
Yeah.
with 5,000 more miles.
What?
Coming to get their first
Yeah,
oil
and
change.
then I was
What
like
the
asking Jim,
heck?
I was like, "Wait, how did that happen?" He goes, "Ben, the guy travels across
Yeah.
the country."
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm like,
apparently he's done
okay.
a lot of road trips.
5K in 2 weeks?
I thought that's awesome.
That's
Pay more money in our
nuts.
pockets.
And those trucks, they did a lot of really cool stuff, not just for the customers, but for the technicians working on them.
That's cool.
In the past, manufacturers have not been very nice to
No.
the technicians. Like for instance, on the Ford Ranger, they put the oil filter on top of the starter. So it
What
was
the
super
heck?
easy, like whenever you're trying to loosen the oil filter to like hit the starter
Or spill oil
and
on
spark. Yeah.
it. What the heck?
And but like for instance with the new Tacoma, the oil filter, it's under just a little dust cover like most vehicles have now.
Yeah.
But it has a little spout that comes off of it that
Oh.
like because it's right over top of a like a cross brace.
Okay.
And that spout pushes it right just in front of the cross brace, so there's no mess.
That's cool.
All you have to do is take the old filter out, let it drain down, put the new one in, clean it up, and you're done.
And then when you hit it with
There's no
brake
extra
cleaner,
hassle.
when you clean it with brake cleaner, it just easily cleans
Yep.
up and
Super
It's
easy.
pretty sweet.
You
When
know-
you said weird stuff about how manufacturers hate like their service department, when I sold for Chrysler, the Dodge Journey, you know where the battery is? It's behind the driver. You have to take the the tire off the driver's side of the vehicle and pull the plastic fender liner out just to change the battery.
Yeah, and
It's the worst as I've ever seen.
That's
well,
pretty bad.
and it's very inconvenient to do, but also items like that, whenever they see continual use,
Yeah.
pulling them off and on, they get loose, they break, they tear up because it's plastic, right?
Yeah.
Fender liner's not made out of sheet metal.
And at the very least, I want to be. I'm not mechanically inclined. Like I can do an oil change on my lawnmower and stuff, but I'm not going to dive into my engine block. But I want to be able to change the battery out, of my car. At the very least,
Yeah.
Toyotas are pretty easy.
Super nice. Okay, question for Christian. You are in charge of mostly making sure you're like the cherry on top of the whole process, where people get. And what I mean by that is, say once.
There was a funny look head.
Yeah.
So once, say a customer from we call it from cradle to grave in the customer world is like either it's a fresh customer here on the lot, or if they're a long-term internet customer that they've been doing 30 days, 60 days, 90 days of research, and now they're here with us. So whether they've talked to us on the lot or us in the internet department, they've gone through the whole process. They've touched everybody, the salespeople, us. They've done the service walk, all that good stuff. You're the very last person that touches that customer before they hit the road with their new or used Toyota. So it's pretty cool to see, from your point of view, what's the most common question that you get, maybe technology-wise or maybe just vehicle-wise, when you're telling that customer about everything in the delivery bay. What's a common thing that comes up with customers that you help them with?
Mostly just like the how the screen works. It's just a major upgrade how the old screens and on the new screens. So the new screens have everything on it, like the Bluetooth, the Wi-Fi, the hotspot. And with the new integrated navigations, that it's a monthly subscription, how that works. And then just with the new Apple CarPlay, the Android Auto, because now it's just wireless, because it used to just be plugging through your phone with the USB cable.
That's true, yeah.
But now it's wireless, which is very convenient, very easy.
But a lot safer, too.
Yeah,
honestly.
very safe, yeah.
Yeah. I'll be tripping over your
It's just cool to see what people have, and I'm sure as nothing against, we love our elderly customers, but they're probably the ones that you take the most time with, because the cell phones that we have in our pocket are more powerful than the Apollo 13 that got 3 men to the moon and back. So
For sure.
it's literally insane and that's just our phones. Let alone what's in these new Toyotas. Every year there's something new. So he does a great job staying on top of all the new updates and getting our customers up to speed. But it's just cool to see every step of the process and the sales process. And he's the last one that gets them safe and connected and ready to go on the road. So
do you also handle AOA, additional features?
Yeah, like accessories. I take care of window tint.
Some of those are really fun to put on.
That's cool.
Oh yeah, especially on the website that they provide. It's very cool.
That's cool.
Right.
I love it. You got anything else to add?
My friends, I think I'm spent, so...
You're spent?
Yeah.
I love it.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in for this new episode after taking about a 2-week break from our
we're
podcast.
back, baby.
Well, yeah, speaking of baby.
Back, baby.
Yeah, because Daniel got a baby. So
Hudson James, doing great.
Yeah, that's really good. Well, thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you to Christian and James for being on the show.
Christian
Yeah, man,
James
I
going to be on the
wouldn't
show.
mind having you
Yeah,
Great
we'll
job.
definitely have you back on the show for sure.
I love talking about just random.
Yeah.
I can just go into anything.
We'll have more shows.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be more shows as long as I'm in staff here. We're gonna be
I've even got some ideas for you.
Yeah, exactly. Bring them to the table. We'd love to hear them. And if you guys have any other ideas for what you guys want us to cover on our show, please leave in the comments on the YouTube portion of this podcast or through Spotify, however you're listening to it. Or anywhere else you can find us on our Instagram page, Facebook, and Twitter. So until next time, my friends, thank you, Christian, and thank you, James. I'll guess that we got this one in the bag.
Let's
See
go.
ya.
Catch you on the next one.
Yep.